These 5 phrases stop me in my tracks and change the trajectory. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. For the first time, I thought to myself, whoa, I don't even know what fulfillment means. Whose love did you crave the most as a child? You can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. People feel who you are before they listen to what you say. If it's meant to be, it is up to me. As soon as I took personal responsibility for my life, and this goes across every facet of it, everything completely changed.
This episode is brought to you by Go High Level. If you're a business owner who's tired of duct taping together 5 different platforms just to run your company, this is your solution. CRM, funnels, website, email, text marketing, automations, memberships, landing pages, payments, all in one place. When I moved everything over, I was able to cancel multiple subscriptions and save over $1,000 a month. And memberships start at only $97. If you run multiple businesses, well, they got you covered there too. High performance requires clean systems, visibility, and control. Go High Level gives you the infrastructure to scale without the chaos. Grab your 30-day free trial using the link in the show notes.
Welcome back to another solo episode of Keep Rising with Kristy Kuhl. This week's episode is going to be a little different in the sense that I am going to share with you 5 phrases that completely changed my life when I heard them. It's like as soon as I heard them, it clicked. And it was as if that person and that message was placed in front of me to hear it at that very time. I believe in that. I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so for those of you parents that feel like broken records, or leaders that feel like broken records, or maybe you said something to your team 15 times and you bring a guest speaker in, and as soon as the guest speaker says the same thing you've been saying for like 15 times in a row, it clicks. Just remember that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when I heard these 5 phrases along my journey in personal development and my journey of life, whether I was looking for the answers or not even realizing that this was a question or a problem that I needed help with, these 5 phrases stopped me in my tracks and changed the trajectory, changed my belief, changed the way I thought, the way I moved, the way I acted, the standards that I set. And I wanted to share those with you today. You may think that these episodes are well thought out and planned in advance, but in all reality, I get still and I meditate. Sometimes the answers come when I'm walking Millie. I get a lot of downloads when I'm walking Millie, when I'm moving my body. Sometimes when I work out, but oftentimes the workout's too hard. That's all that I can do is focus on the workout, which is really good for me to be able to do. But anyway, I hope you grab a pen and a piece of paper and write these things down. And if you feel called to, just hit pause and journal a little bit about what this means to you when I say these 5 phrases. So I opened up the door to personal development when I was really personal development, like investing a lot of time and resources when I was 34. I had just come off a divorce. I was completely rocked by that divorce, and I had started to get out there and date, and I was realizing that I was picking a similar type of man. And so this was back in the day where I had my Sony Walkman anti-skip on my hip, and I somehow, I don't even know if I ordered it or somebody gave me a Tony Robbins CD. And on the CD, he was talking about how this person had come to him. It was a Hollywood celebrity, and they were on a lot of medication for anxiety and depression, and nobody could help them with any of the issues that they had. And so he had a conversation with this person, was like, oh, there's a lot of misalignments here. I'm just going to rewire a few things in her brain. And she was fine. After that, she was happy. She was joyful. She had a fulfilling life, and she didn't need any of the medication. I thought, well, this man, Tony Robbins, whoever he is going to help me stop picking this type of guy. So that's what encouraged me to get into his rooms. And when I got into his rooms, it was just like there were so many other doors and perspectives opened. And it sent me in a different direction of other areas of my life that I had realized that there were some vacancies or some voids or maybe some misalignments that I really needed to figure out. And it was probably on the 3rd or 4th time that I was in one of his rooms. And he said this phrase, and he said it all of the other times. That's why I say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The phrase that he had said was success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I remember it seemed as if there was 5,000 people in that room, and it seemed as if he was talking to me. And for the first time, I thought to myself, whoa, I don't even know what fulfillment means, but maybe I think he's going to solve and give me the information and the answers to this feeling that I have been feeling for a really long time. You see, from a young age, I was focused on achievement and tying that to attention and to value. And as I got into the corporate sector and I started climbing the ladder and I provided financial freedom for myself, and I'd hit a goal and then I'd set a higher one. And if you're a high achiever, which all of you that are here are, you understand what it is that I'm talking about. And I never felt any better achieving those goals. So when he said success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, I thought, oh my gosh, he finally put words. This is back in the day. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but there was a period of my life where I had, in some areas, such high confidence, but with the connection that I had to myself, I was so disconnected. I had no confidence in the way that I was feeling and just acting off of the way that I was feeling in my gut intuition. I needed to hear somebody else say it and explain it. And so when he said this and explained it, it really made sense to me. And so success on paper was something that I had, but success without fulfillment, which basically means that, you feel really good when you achieve those goals and you feel really good about the person. This is my definition. You really feel good about the person that you are in achieving those goals as well. And I never did anything unlawful or anything that lacked integrity or anything that was untruthful. I was not winning in a way that should not be respected. It was, in fact, a way that should be very respected in the way that I won. But it just didn't give me the same level of feeling as the work that I do today. So when he said success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, it really made me take pen to paper and define all of the things that make me feel fulfilled. And so I remember the first thing that made me feel fulfilled was rescuing dogs. And then it was being in nature, and it was being so present. This was the one that stood out the most. It was being so present in front of somebody that my mind was not on the number. It wasn't on the boss. It wasn't on the emails. It wasn't about the work that had to be done or the flight that's being delayed. I was just fully listening with my whole body to the person that was in front of me and looking for opportunities to either take them out of pain or frustration or add value to their life. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but it has to encompass all of that. I want to give so much time away to deserving individuals and help them along on their journey. And if you've been here for any length of time, I stepped away from corporate 8 years ago, and I'm an advisor and a high performance coach in life and business. And so to be able to define, based off of this one exercise, the things that made me feel great, and then figure out how to design an entire life around it, really was something that I didn't think was possible. At that time in my life, it just seemed like the harder things were, the more that meant that was the thing that I was supposed to be doing. And this number 2 is going to help you understand this a little bit more. So I had to rewire my affiliations and my alignment with success. And, I look at success, and there's so many other exercises that I went through after all of that, but really fulfilling my significance. Everybody has a way in which they need to feel significant. And for me, at the time it was, do I have the best body in the room? Am I up for every promotion? Do I have the best car? Am I making the most money? Am I President's Club again? If I didn't have all of those things, identified and the boxes checked, then I did not feel significant about myself and I felt like a failure. If you think about that for a second, that bar was set so high. I had no opportunity to set smaller wins for myself to boost my confidence and or to have peace and joy and happiness. And so re-identifying significance and success for myself really is now today is more so what I leave inside somebody. It's being able to utilize my God-given talents to be able to provide value and help them from not getting stuck or staying stuck, to provide peace and joy and happiness in their life. And it's like, wow, with that type of bar every single day. Now, I mean, we can make that as big as we want to, but I'm getting W's on the board right away by just the people that I pass in the hallway and making them smile each day, right? Having conversation at the coffee bar and asking a question or two. I'm impacting people every single day. So the second thing that completely changed, like rocked my world and brought me to moments that I had never thought about in my childhood, like never had thought about. Same person, Tony Robbins, had asked us all, whose love did you crave the most as a child? So answer that in your head. I'm not going to answer this out loud, just out of respect for the people that I love and care about so dearly. So whose love did you crave the most as a child? And in your child mind does not mean that it was true, but it was true to you in the way that your child brain, your child undeveloped brain interpreted it. What did your child brain tell you that you needed to do or be in order to receive more of that love that you wished that you had, more of that time, more of that attention? And when he asked that question, my brain went to a moment in time. My memory brought up this thing that I had never thought about ever. But it was a real moment. And what I concluded from that moment was that I was supposed to be tough, that I wasn't supposed to talk about anything, that I was just supposed to get my head down, keep my head down, put my head down, and get the job done, no matter how hard it was. And if I did that, then I would get noticed. And so again, here I am at 34 years of age, and this question is brought up, and I answer it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that one moment in time is responsible for the next probably 25 years of my life and all the decisions that I made, i.e. the environments and choices that I put myself in. At 34 years old, I was so disconnected from my feminine energy. I was all masculine. I was all push. I was all drive. And I really looked down upon a lot of the things that are innate in women, the togetherness, the community, the talking things through, the support. I looked at that as a weakness. And at 34, I'll be 46 in a few months. I just remember taking out a piece of paper and going, okay, well, now that you see this, how much of this do you want to keep? And how much of this do you want to throw away? Because quite frankly, a lot of that was absolute bullshit. There's so much strength in the feminine energy and the feminine power. And I will say now, we're talking almost 12 years after this awakening, it is the thing that puts people on their heels when I have an interaction with them. If we spend an intimate amount of time together, or we're really discussing a particular topic, because I am pretty wide open and will share vulnerabilities, but also access my strength in the same conversation. And it could be one sentence to another. I could be crying about a moment or remembering something. I believe that, if you're feeling something, you should let it move through you. But I never think about those moments where I share vulnerability or times I messed up or thoughts that I've had. I never look at that and think that that takes any bit away from my strength. And in fact, I bounce back and forth between the two so fast that everybody that sees it, that understands what it is that I'm doing, that's in the presentation space, the influence space, the speaker space, says, how in the hell, how do you do that? And the reality of it is, all I do is I be myself. I be myself, and I don't care what anybody thinks. If you are going to judge me for being too strong in one moment or being perceived as too weak, and another moment you don't have the same perspective. And if you spend enough time together, you could see the full circle, the whole complete circle. So if you were to think about that question for yourself, whose love did you crave the most as a child? And what did your child mind tell you that you needed to be or do or not be in order to receive more of that love and attention from that person that you crave? And it could just be that that person's working a lot, or maybe they got a lot of things on their mind, or maybe there was a sick, you had a sibling that was sick that needed a lot of their time or attention, or there was, I don't know why you wanted more of that. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just that you wanted more of it. So once you define that, then ask yourself, this person that you've become at that age is probably still with you. And I'm sure there's some beautiful things about that. Like for me, to be able to, part of the story that I didn't finish telling you is that when I look back at my life, I was in male-dominated, cutthroat, high-pressure environments. And it doesn't mean that women can't be there and can't be in their feminine. I just chose these environments. The ones that I chose with the leaders and the culture were very fitting to that person that I thought that I had to become. Put your head down, get your job done, the responsibility's on you. So just reflect and decide, is there any part of that you wish that you could give away? Is there anything that you want to change? Okay, the third phrase that completely changed my life, I heard it just a few years ago by a friend of mine, a very well-known high-performance coach, Ben Newman. And what he said was, you can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. You can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. Whew. I mean, if that does not create a whole different level of self-accountability, I don't know what will. I am a firm believer in frequency and energy anyway. But this just took I pride myself on being the same person in private as I am on stage, or in public as I am on stage. I have a hard time with people teaching others how to live and how to get through certain moments when they're not consistently doing that themselves. So I believe that I am a very self-aware person, but there's always another level, right? And so when I heard this from him, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, where are there still additional opportunities for this? And one of the, most basic examples that came up was, okay, well, if you're going to teach people to outsource and to delegate, then there can be no more of this. Well, I'll just do it quickly because I can get it done faster. Right? You can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. So either I'm not taking the time to hire the right person to outsource it to, or train the person. Like, there should be no reason why I'm just going to do it myself and do it because I can get it done faster. You can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. What things come up for you? Even if nobody sees it, you believe in frequency as well, and you know the truth, and that's going to come out one way or another. In your confidence and the way that you present, people are going to feel it. People feel who you are before they listen to what you say. So that changed the way that I approached everything. I reevaluated my habits. I reevaluated my health, and what things in my health was I probably putting off that I really needed to take care of. Like, there's like these little, you get just 1% away, and then another 1% and another 1%. You kind of know there's probably something there, but you don't feel it as much. And so hormone health was an example of that for me. I can't preach that to other people if I'm not taking care of it myself. My consistency, my emotional regulation, my follow through. Leadership is not built through occasional intensity or occasional discipline. It's built through daily discipline. You can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. And that doesn't mean getting down and doing your push-ups and your squats every day. It's part of it. It's part of it. Okay, the fourth phrase that I had heard that completely changed my life was, I don't really know there's many ways to say it, but the gist of it is that you should never go into business. You should never have people in close proximity, whether that's family, friends, coworkers, who conflict your core values. And I heard this over and over and over again. And again, just some of the things that I've always shared with you, I would put it back on myself and go, oh, just put your head down and figure it out. Oh, just get tougher with this. Oh, if she can handle being around people like that, then you should be able to too. And the reality of it is, I was completely abandoning myself by being around individuals that conflicted the core values that are complete, absolute non-negotiables for me. And that is truth, integrity, appreciation, and respect. I mean, there's so many more core values that I have that are important to me, but these are the ones that on a consistent basis, if you are going to violate those, it is going to affect my mental well-being. It's going to affect my physical health, my emotional state, my confidence, everything. So being around people that I can't trust, it's like, it's one thing if the person lacks integrity and I'm going to go speak on their stage and I know this, but I know that all of my potential future clients are sitting in the audience and, the word on the street is this person doesn't pay their speakers. Well, I'm just going to make the decision in my head, like, okay, they lack integrity in that regard. If I don't get paid for this, am I going to be upset? The answer is probably going to be no, because my audience is right there. Or, if my audience wasn't there, then I just would say no, and then we'd avoid the whole thing. But I would make that decision. I could pop in and be around them, do what I needed to do and be done, and it wouldn't be an issue. Having people in proximity that have access to my life that I can't trust, that lack integrity, that do business in a way that is not in alignment with the way that I do business is an absolute no. I'm big into appreciation. So I have a huge heart. I love to give, and I don't need a huge thank you. I don't need a gift in return. I don't need a social media shout out. But I think you would all probably agree, when you do something for somebody who sees it and appreciates it versus somebody who does not, it is very helpful to my psyche. So just for people to see that, oh gosh, she rearranged her day, or I was going through a tough time and she took the time to leave me a message, or she knew I had a big interview or whatever it was, and she put it on her calendar and she left me a message before that or before the race or whatever it may be. Appreciation is incredibly important to me. And I want to be around people that when I appreciate in a big way, what they do for me, it means something to them, and they don't think like it doesn't mean anything, and vice versa. All right. And then respect my time. I respect your time. I respect your credentials. I respect your opinion. I'm not going to be asking for things for free. That's another big one too. And I would really encourage you, if you have not done it, this is a foundational exercise that I do in my 12-week high performance framework. I do it with all my one-on-one clients too, is really getting crystal clear on what your core values are. You will see, once we do this exercise, not only what they are, also what supports them and what are the things that get in the way of them. And so without going into all of that on this podcast episode, I will just say that quickly for me, if I'm going to make decisions that gets me in trouble in the sense that is that I'm choosing people that are conflicting my core values, it's probably because I procrastinated and I feel like I need to make a decision real quick. It could be that I didn't sleep good. I had alcohol the night before. I don't sleep good when I have alcohol. It breeds anxiety for me. Like when you see all the charts of what happens after somebody has alcohol and like all of that stuff happens, I'm probably going to want pizza. My workout isn't going to be the best. So sleep is important. Even without alcohol, sleep is important. Making sure I have plenty of time for rest is incredibly important. Working out, eating good, feeling really confident in my body, and not having like this whole list of to-dos that I feel buried underneath. And so I would just encourage you to start with identifying what your core values are. And if it bothers you to be around people that conflict those, don't brush that off as you need to get better in that environment. You need to get the hell away from those people is what you need to do. And you need to get around people that complement. They don't have to be identical. They just can't conflict your core values. Gosh, there's so many of these that I want to share with you. There was another thing, and a lot of all of this really came to fruition for me when I stepped out on the path. And started to take responsibility for my life in a different way. I wasn't fully taking responsibility for my life. And that's what number 5 is if it's meant to be, it is up to me. I still had this, may have been a little bit of a victim mentality. I guess that would be what you'd call it. I wasn't taking full ownership and responsibility. And there were people that were promising things and they weren't coming to fruition. And I was blaming them. And the reality of it is, if this thing is meant to be, it is 100% up to me. And I need to get better at reading people or having 5 opportunities instead of 1, or whatever it may be. As soon as I took personal responsibility for my life, and this goes across every facet of it, everything completely changed. It was, even though it seems like it's so much more, it actually lightened the load. I wasn't waiting on anybody. Like if it was my health and the doctor said, "Oh, this is what I think," like you're just going to have to deal with this. I would think like, there's bullshit. I'm going to go find five more people that, and one of those 5 is probably going to give me the answer that I want to hear, right? There's a way out of this. And the same thing for opportunities, the same thing for investment, whatever it is, if it is meant to be, it is up to me. And if you could take that with you moving forward, absolutely everything is going to shift and change because you are going to find a way. You are going to, that's just the way, it's just the way that it is. If you want it that bad, you are going to find a way. So I know this episode was a little bit different. I hope this was helpful to you. These 5 phrases absolutely, completely changed everything. There's more. I'll have to do another one and give you another 5. But I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear which one of these hit home the most right now with where you are in life. Maybe many of them have. I would love to hear from you. Keep rising, my friends. You're so much closer than you think.